Hi, this is Yolanda Vanveen from vanveenbulbs.com. And in this segment, we're learning all about how to transplant tulip bulbs. Now, we all have tulip bulbs that we get in pots at Valentine's Day or in the middle of winter, and they're beautifully in bloom, and then the blooms fade away, and we don't know what to do with them. Well, I always say, if you ever have some tulips in a pot, or they're in an area of your garden, and you want to put them in a different area of the garden, move them anytime they're not blooming. So as soon as they're done blooming is the best time to transplant them. And they're always very easy to transplant. So I've got these tulip bulbs that were in this pot and they're done blooming. And I've watered the pots over the summer because you never want to let them be too dry either. Because I think that's the number one thing that we lose our tulips in the Northwest because we never water them in the summer. So we put them in a bed that's far away, or we leave them in the pot and they dry out and just cook over the summer. So a trick that I found is to actually keep those tulips watered over the summer if you live in especially Portland area where we get really hot summers anymore, and they'll do a lot better. And now it's the fall and I'm going to transplant them into my garden so that I can enjoy them in my garden next spring. So it's very important that you plant them about 3 inches deep. They don't need to be any deeper than that. And I'm just going to put them in groups of 3 or more. So you don't want to have just one by itself because they've not done anything wrong. You never put your plants in timeout. So I'm going to put 3 of these tulips in a triangle. And next year, they'll be just gorgeous right here. So the trick is to transplant them and to plant them back where you want them as soon as you dig them up. You never want to leave them out of the ground too long. And if you do, it's a lot easier to leave them in soil or just put them in a paper bag so that they don't get too wet or too dry. When transplanting your tulip bulbs, make sure to do it right away because you don't want to leave them out of the ground for very long. And you want to keep them dry if you need to, but not too dry that they just burn up. And at the same time, you don't leave them in mud or somewhere where they're not going to get any air because then they might start rotting. So the safest place is always in the ground. So when you transplant your tulips, do it anytime they're not blooming. The fall or the winter, of course, is the best time. But anymore, I'm finding that my garden has no rules and that I try to transplant and garden year-round whenever I get a chance. And that is always the best time.